deadly manner. Both of these groups raid villages continually, looking to root out traitors and executing whomever they please. According to the humanitarian organization Human Rights Watch, U.S. aid money has helped fund, supply, and train Colombian military units that maintain close alliances with paramilitary groups. Although Colombia has recently taken a tougher stance toward paramilitaries and peace negotiations are in progress, the U.S. State Department, major human rights organizations, and the United Nations claim that the Colombian government is still linked to illicit paramilitary activities. For example, government forces have often invaded, emptied, and then left guerrilla-held areas, clearing the way for paramilitary fighters to take control. Human rights groups also criticize what Adam Isaacson calls a forgive and forget government policy toward paramilitary leaders accused of crimes, including promises of amnesty in return for gradual demobilization. Although the U.S. has threatened to suspend aid if Colombia does not break such ties with paramilitary groups, the full amount of promised aid continues to be granted. So basically, we're saying, hey, don't do that, or we're going to do something you won't like, but then not actually following through. For the past 40 years, the people of Colombia have found themselves between a rock and a hard place over the production of coca, the plant used for making cocaine and heroin. Under threats from rebel drug lords, who now control many areas, civilians must either allow their land to be cultivated for the growth of coca or put themselves and their families at deadly risk. At the same time, however, the consequences of cooperation with the rebels is execution by paramilitary groups or even by the Colombian government. Some coca farmers, fearful of the government, willingly form alliances with rebels who offer to protect them and their farms for a fee. Entire villages get caught in the crossfire between paramilitaries and rebels. In the past 10 years, over 35,000 civilians have lost their lives in the conflict, and hundreds of thousands have been forced from their homes. A terrible incident in the town of Bella Vista was reported in the New York Times in 2002. Paramilitary forces took over the town in an attempt to gain control of jungle smuggling routes. When leftist rebels arrived ready to fight a battle, the paramilitaries fled, leaving the civilians trapped and defenseless. Most of the villagers huddled together in their church, and 117 were killed when a stray rocket destroyed the church. What is to be done to prevent such atrocities? The United States rushes aid to Colombia, hoping to stop the violence and the drugs. Unfortunately, their solutions attempted so far have had their own bad results. For instance, eradicating coca fields has alienated peasants, who then turn to rebels for support, and it has also escalated violence over the reduced coca supply. Money intended to help peasants establish alternative crops has ended up buying weapons for the branches of the military that support paramilitary operations. Not long ago, $2 million intended for the Colombian police just disappeared. Obviously, the United States needs to monitor how its dollars are used in Colombia. It can continue to discourage the Colombian government from supporting the paramilitaries and encourage it to seek peace among warring factions. But ultimately, the United States is limited in what it can do by international law and by the tolerance of the U.S. people for foreign intervention. Instead, the United States should be looking to its home front and should focus on cutting the demand for drugs. Any economist will confirm that where there is demand, there will be supply. So, guys, this is moving into their proposed solution for the problem solution. A report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime connects this basic economic principle to illegal drugs. Production of illicit drugs is market-driven. In the United States alone, illicit drugs are an $80 billion market. Damn. More than $70 billion of that amount goes to traffickers, those who bring the drugs to market. Stopping the demand would stop their business. The United States should reduce demand by drastically increasing both treatment and education. This is another part of their solution. This first step will help people stop using drugs. The second will make users aware of the consequences of their choices. The war on drugs is not fought just in the jungles of some distant country. It takes place daily at our schools, in our homes, and on our streets. People my age, about our age, guys, people my age who justify the use of illegal drugs by saying it's my life and I can do with it what I please, should be made aware that they are funding drug lords and contributing to the suffering of people across the globe, including Colombia. Eric's little bit of fun is costing Miguel his life.